Holy crap, was episode 125 amazing, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to go ahead and talk about it. So, I think that episode 125 is my favorite, I don't want to say episode of the Tournament of Power, but definitely my favorite one in recent memory. And honestly, it's not even close because Toppo is just such a damn badass, bro. Like, seriously, Toppo is in here just wrecking house, destroying Frieza and all of this stuff. So just to kind of recap, Goku and Vegeta continue to fight with Jiren. Goku is trying to coordinate a little bit with Vegeta, and Vegeta's like, hey, I'm not going to have that. Don't boss me around. Don't tell me what to do. And they continue to fight Jiren. They get him in a few combos. Jiren, of course, is overwhelming, so he's able to deal with it. Moving on from that, Frieza is pretty maniacal in this episode. They draw Frieza just looking super just insane in this episode several times, man. Like the wide eyes and the small pupil thing that they were doing, I thought that was such a nice effect. And I stick by my same notion that I said earlier on in the series that Frieza is one of the best things in this show. He is a really, really, really good character, and the voice actor is incredible. So Frieza is awesome. Every episode with Frieza is incredible. So what happens in this episode is Android 17 is fighting against Toppo, of course, because Gohan is now gone, unfortunately, because this episode would have been so cool if I got to see Gohan, but it's okay. I'm still kind of hurt about that, but it's all right. So anyways, Android 17 is fighting against Toppo for the most part. This is, of course, pre-transformation for Toppo. We're going to talk about the God of Destruction Toppo stuff in just a minute and give you guys the explainer for how all of that works for Toppo. So anyways, 17's fighting him. He gets in a beam struggle one way or another with Toppo, and he tries to strategize against Toppo and tries to basically waste all the time prior to the beam struggle because, of course, he's an android. He has unlimited energy, which is one of the most hacks things possible. Like, I can only imagine how freaking insane Majin Buu would be in here with all of his different hacks, but being able to be just tireless is incredible, right? So Android 17 is able to do that. He tries to do that. Toppo sees through it. Then they resound in a beam struggle, which Toppo is actually winning, but Frieza shows up a la Cell Saga, right? Frieza shows up a la Vegeta whenever Gohan was in his beam struggle with Cell and actually hits Toppo from the back. Pause. No, hits him from behind with pause. A energy blast. And, you know, from there, 17 is able to kind of take advantage of that, and his energy starts to overwhelm Toppo's energy. But Frieza stands behind there and keeps on shooting him. Anyways, he keeps on shooting the ki blast, and of course, this is where they start doing that whole wide eye, you know, big eye, small pupil thing that I talked about. That looks awesome, by the way. It just makes Frieza look so incredibly just crazy. Sadistic is the right word. And he's just shooting a whole bunch of ki blasts at him, the finger blast things that Frieza does, of course. And he's doing that, and then Toppo just gets completely overwhelmed, and then both of these guys just obliterate him. Frieza from the back area. I can't make it sound any better. In Android 17, his ki blast, that, you know, the beam struggle, that is able to overwhelm Toppo, and it seems like Toppo is done, but Toppo let his inhibitions go. He let go of his justice notion. He let go of everything in order to become a god of destruction. So basically, what happened is, if you guys recall, back to the what was it, the exhibition match right before the Tournament of Power started, when we learned the rules about that, when Goku fought Toppo initially, they said, and there was also some spoilers, I believe, or leaks, if you will, from that same time period that said Toppo is a candidate to be a god of destruction. So Toppo is one of the characters that Velmad was actually considering to replace him. So we know that innately that means Toppo has a certain level of power, right? But with being a god of destruction, there is something else that comes with that, and that is the Hakai energy. Now, whenever we saw Beerus do Hakai tactics, like, for example, whenever he Hakai'd Zamasu, there was some speculation that maybe that wasn't a technique, really. Well, not to say it wasn't a technique, but it wasn't anything special. Maybe he just said Hakai, right? Some people were saying maybe he just says Hakai whenever he uses a regular ki blast or whatever. But that power, that ability to destroy, is so much more than being like a character like Frieza, and he does this in this episode anyway, and producing a massive blast of energy and just destroying stuff. That is instantaneous disintegration, pretty much. So that is what's happening, and that is Hakai energy, and Toppo is able to access that energy, presumably because, again, he was training in order to become a god of destruction, so obviously he would have had to have learned how to access the Hakai energy. So that that is really cool. That is that purple energy that we sometimes see Beerus be clad in and things of that nature. And Toppo kind of uses it a little bit differently because if I recall correctly, if Beerus had it back in the Battle of Gods arc, he was clad in the purple energy. This could be a retroactive retcon, but, you know, it wasn't automatically just destroying stuff the way it is for Toppo. Like when pebbles touch, you know, Toppo, it just disintegrates. If a Ki Blast touches Toppo, it disintegrates. It's just gone. Like the Hakai energy is around him and it's able to eliminate anything. So that is awesome to see the way that Toppo is using this power. But we find out later on that he does not have full mastery of it because he requires a charge time in order to release that massive blast of Hakai energy. So he's doing it in intervals because he needs time to basically charge up enough energy, if you will, to launch that attack off. So that is something to keep in mind going forward. I don't know how big of a factor that is, considering that he launched like, what, 4 of them in this episode individually. And we get a callback, speaking of that energy, we get a callback to whenever Seadra actually sent that type of energy, I believe it was Seadra, with his minions, and the boy, the MVP, Ro, with his minions over to Universe 7, and they tried to eliminate the Universe 7 contestants, and Frieza was able to handle that energy. We even see a flashback to it. He's like, hey, I've already dealt with this before. I'm used to it, so one hand will be enough. But no, it's not enough. Toppo is too powerful. Now, I don't know if that means that Seadra was just weak, or, you know, in comparison to Toppo, that is, or he sent some form of compressed Hakai energy. You know, it just wasn't, suppressed is the right word. It wasn't that powerful energy that he sent. It's very possible that, to be honest, Toppo is more powerful. So keep that in mind, because what happens is Frieza is not able to do it. Frieza does show up later in the episode, but he's beaten, he's tatered. He cannot handle that much energy. So, you know, Toppo is just incredible. I mean, we see this character get basically beaten up and then get taunted by Frieza and then let everything go and say, hey, the only thing that matters now is fight or flight. I am going to accept this and become a god of destruction. And Belmont even says there is nothing different about him and a god of destruction. He is basically the god of destruction, Toppo, right? So, you know, I don't know if that means that Belmont gave up his title as god of destruction, or Vermouth, however you want to pronounce his name. There's a bunch of different ways, but you know, Toppo is on that level, right? And again, not every god of destruction is created equal. That's not saying that Toppo is equivalent to Beerus, because I think Beerus could kick his butt, especially because Beerus, at the very least, has innately more mastery of that energy, that power, right? So you can definitely tell this is new to Toppo because of the charging and stuff like that. But it's interesting to think that these guys have to go up against a god of destruction and Jiren. Like, it's not even like it's just, you know, Jiren or just Toppo. It's both of these guys, right? So we have 4 contestants. Frieza is basically out. By the way, 17 is the real MVP for that my hand slipped line where he threw that damn rock at Frieza. Bro, that had me so damn weak. I couldn't stop laughing at that. That had me so insanely weak when he threw the rock at Frieza, talking about my hand slip, by the way. And, you know, one other thing I wanted to talk about, I've talked about this a couple of times, but let's not forget that this is basically Kachikachin. It's not really pebbles, and you see characters like Goku and Vegeta going flying through these mountains of rock, if you will, because it's technically Kachikachin again. It is a massively hard substance, so let's think about how durable these characters are to be able to withstand that, right? But anyways, next week we're going to see Vegeta versus Toppo. So it looks like these two have basically figured out what's going on. They have made Toppo into a powerful character to stand in Vegeta's way, basically to distract him so Goku can basically use UI and then fight Jiren and probably win, I guess, right? So that's cool that they did that. I mean, I prefer that as opposed to Vegeta fighting with Goku and then losing and then, you know, going from there. It feels like he will probably double elimination with Toppo at this point. But we are literally in the thick of this. We are at the climax. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Subscribe if you're new for more Dragon Ball Super discussions and reviews and all that other good stuff. And let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the episode was. Like I said, mine was the 17 thing, but my real favorite one aside from that was just Toppo's transformation. Because to me, he had to let all of that stuff go. He let go of everything. Nothing else was important. He just said, fight or flight. I'm going to accept this power, accept this responsibility for my universe and for our survival. And, you know, he just transformed from there. So that's really cool. It harkens back similarly, just a little bit, not 100% exact same scenario, but it harkens back to that initial Gohan SS2 transformation and some of the reasons behind why Gohan, you know, was refuting that power and then finally was able to transform after, you know, basically stress, I guess. So anyways, stress and turmoil and seeing a whole bunch of other things. So again, not 100% similar, but there are some of the same elements between the two, and I loved it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, all that other good stuff, and leave a like, and yeah. Anyways, take it easy, guys. Have an awesome day.